Thanks for joining us for the Member xCite presentation. The Member xCite presentation is informative, interesting to the audience, and showcases the strengths of the presenter as an entrepreneur and their area of expertise. It's not a sales pitch, it's a 10-minute educational and insightful exploration into what they do. And of course, it's exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our xCite presenter today, Jeanette Jifkins from Audit Legal, to present to us on interactive website legal and cyber audit. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Jeanette Jifkins.
Until 2008 that I had the epiphany that you actually could make money not being employed by someone else, because I had the employee mindset right up until then, and then I happened to be on a long plane flight on a very 4-hour work week. And I got it intellectually up to that time, but until I read that book, I didn't get that you could do it. So I'm not a born entrepreneur, I'm a learned entrepreneur. And what happened with Onyx is I started as a sole trader. It was a side gig. I did it around my part-time in-house role. I have been a lawyer for over 25 years and I love it. I landed in law completely by fluke. I was looking for something that went with a Japanese arts degree, and I knew I had the score, and I went for law and business, and I got law, and I loved it. I love the intricacy of it. I love the interesting way you have to pull information together and make sense of it. And so I stuck with it, and I still love it. And that's why I like creating and crafting contracts, because you get to be creative in a space that helps people. So Onyx became Onyx in about 2014 when we incorporated, and I moved into it full time in 2015. We got our first employee, which was terrifying, in 2018, and now I have a team of 6. So, and one of them is remote, works from Mackay. We do everything cloud-based, paperless, remote. So when COVID hit, it didn't impact our business in terms of operations at all, which was fantastic. So that's a little bit about background of business. I do have 5 children between myself and my husband. I only gave birth to one of them. And they are all adults. The youngest of them is turning 29 next month. And he is, our 2 youngest boys live in Melbourne, which is where they did their high school. And my youngest rings me every day just to see if I'm available for a chat. He's a tradie. So he's on his way home, he gives me a call. And he often says, "Hi Mum, I'm just ringing to brighten up your day."
Aww. That's so sweet.
So, and things that are true and not true. Okay.
Just to give some frame on this, we like to have a interesting thing where someone shares some facts about themselves, and one of them is true and one of them is not so true. And then you get to guess.
Okay, so my 2 facts. I have a swimming pool record in Kawasaki Prefecture of Japan for 100 meters backstroke. And the other fact is I have a pet wallaby called Ruby.
So, who's got A is true? And who's got B is true?
So I live on 10 acres and we do have a lot of wallabies and a lot of kangaroos, and we currently have 1 wallaby and 1 kangaroo, each of which have tiny joeys, but they're not pets. They are wild animals and they stay outside the house yard. We're on 10 acres. So they're not pets. And yes, I still have, I spent a year in Japan as an exchange student. The family I lived with owned a swimming pool where I continued to train. I was a competitive swimmer for about 10 or 12 years. And I apparently still hold the pool record for 100 metres backstroke in Kanagawa Prefecture in Japan.
Very cool. Very cool.
Is it all possible that one of the wallabies' names is Janet?
They all start with Ruth.
Just about
Yeah.
At least it's funny heckling. Otherwise, I'll give you Mark's card and you can do a donation.
All right, so we have 10 minutes. So you will see if you can take one and pass it on, and some may need to share. We have a QR code, which are really easy to create. If you don't know how to create them, have a chat quickly techie. You can usually do it from a browser nowadays. So if you've got your mobile phones, you can open them now and you can go onto that page. You need not do it right now, you can do it later. What that will take you to is a questionnaire. You will be invited to put in your name, your email address, and your website. The name and the website are optional, the email address is so that you can get the results of the questionnaire. As you go through the questionnaire, what we're trying to highlight for you is things you should know about your website from a legal perspective. So the first couple of questions are, who knows who the registrar of their, the registrant of their website is? Okay, 3 people. Who knows what a registrant is? Okay, you are the registrant, or you should be the registrant. So the registrant is the license holder for that domain name. So you never own a domain name, which is how come people lose them from time to time. You get to license a domain name. It's a bit like paying for your post office box. If you forget to pay for your post office box, they give it to someone else, and your mail goes missing. Same thing with the website address. So your domain name is your website address, it's where people look for you. If you do not know who the registrant is, I highly recommend that you go on to, if it's .com.au, go on to who is, or just search, who is Auda, A-U-D-A. Auda is the Australian peak registrant body for domain names. A who is search will give you the background information about your website. And in Australia, we have no privacy protection. You cannot put privacy protection on the .com.au. So whatever details you put in as registrant are public. And it's very easy to search, and it's free search. So that's the first thing you need to do. If your name is not next to registrant, you have a problem. Because someone else has control of your domain name. And that's where we can help out. We can help you recover that. The next thing is, do you know who your hosting provider is? Yes, a few people do. Okay, who knows what our hosting provider is? Okay, your hosting provider is where the content of your website sits. So the domain name and the content are 2 entirely separate things. And the content, you own the copyright in, or at least I hope you own the copyright in your content. So you need to know who the hosting provider is so that you can continue to pay for your hosting, so that people can continue to see your website. Because if you forget to pay for that hosting, your website disappears and you get one of those pages saying this website is not functional, or it's 404 error or something like that. So I highly recommend that you find out who your hosting provider is, and on the who is search, you can find out through that as well. So they're the first couple of really important things.
The ADA?
Auda, A-U-D-A. Okay. Now the other thing about domain names, just quickly, is .au became available from March. You don't have to have a .com.au now. You can have just a .au. And if you've already got the .com.au, you have until the 20th of September this year to secure the .au. Now, why would you bother? Because you need to protect the IP in your business. You do not want one of your competitors taking the .au domain name and pinching your customers. You also do not want a nefarious website owner to get hold of your .au and take your customers, charge them money, and then all the complaints come to you because you haven't delivered. Okay, so they're the kind of the 2 core risks in not securing your .au. So I please recommend you go to your registrar, which is for a lot of people Crazy Domains or GoDaddy, and secure your .au. It's going to cost you about $10 for a year. Do it now, do it before the 20th of September, so that nobody else can pinch it. Okay, so once you've got the background for your website, that's the other thing. Who knows the login details to the back end of their website? It's all the same people. Who has admin as a username?
Oh.
Yay, congratulations, fantastic, that's excellent news. Do not ever use admin as a domain name, as a username for anything, because it's the first thing that is checked by hackers. So, admin is not an appropriate username. Do not do it.
And info.
Probably. Info is not an appropriate username. And the names of any person whose names appear on a blog on your website is also not an appropriate login name, okay? Because they're all things that hackers use, all right? Once you've got your website, terms and conditions, privacy, disclaimers, that kind of thing. Who has that on their website? Who has actually read them and knows what they say? Who had somebody else put them on their website? Who has not read them and doesn't know what they say? Okay.
Who's getting them written by Onyx Legal?
Yes. You're putting yourself at risk. If you have got someone else to put them up there, if you haven't read them, if they're not from an authorised source, so a lot of franchisors have provided them to franchisees and that kind of thing, that's okay. But if it's your personal website for your business and you do not know what they say, please read them. We have had circumstances where people have copied and pasted from foreign countries. They reference law that doesn't apply in Australia, has nothing to do with their business. We've had someone copy and paste from a crematorium and not change the details. That's a problem if somebody actually does read your information.
You have to have them on there?
Good question. Do you have to have them on there? It is part of the protection of your business. So, as an in-house lawyer, I sued a business because they failed to have terms and conditions on their website, which limited their liability. So we got 125 grand out of them because they failed to tell us in any way, shape or form why they shouldn't pay it. So that's a really good reason to have terms and conditions on your website. At the very least, terms of use can make sure that your website, anyone wanting to pick a fight with you regarding what's on your website has to come to your jurisdiction and do it. So if your governing law is Queensland, Australia, they have to come to Queensland, Australia to sue you. It has happened in the past that a blogger in the UK got sued by an American company in Sydney because he didn't have any of that qualification on his website. It was a defamation action. It got thrown out because he had made nasty comments about a online game. And it was the online gaming company that sued him through Sydney because apparently that was a favourable jurisdiction for them to try and get damages. It got thrown out because all their users said, if you continue to sue him, we will boycott your game. So, economics came into play and the law case disappeared. So, and disclaimers are important for anybody in a regulated industry. If you are providing health advice, which includes life coaches, if you are providing any sort of regulated industry advice, financial advice is a really big ticket item right now. You do need disclaimers on your website. So if you don't have them or you know someone who should have them, please talk to us. Other things around your website, security, talking about logins before, you should have SSL certificates on your website. Would you believe you now have to get a director identification number? They made that available online. I couldn't access it because my virus protection software said it was an insecure website. They were collecting the most important personal data from directors around the country, and it was an insecure website.
It's not surprising.
I know, it's government. They don't get it. Anyway, have an SSL certificate at the bare minimum on your website so that people have confidence to come and visit your website and provide you with data. So there's some of the things you'll find in this questionnaire. What it will do is it'll give you a score on each question. What I want you to do is go through, check your score. You'll find on the last page that you have to scroll down a bit because there's a captcha code on there and it messes up the formatting. You either got to scroll down or scroll up in order to get to the answers or the score sheet. If you are not scoring highly, please book a chat to have with us so that we can send you in the right direction and try and improve the protection for your business online. Anybody who is in business in Australia right now who doesn't have a website should have a website, and that website should promote and enhance the credibility of your business and protect your business as much as possible and not put you at risk. Any questions? Yes.
So do you do the end result to put it on an actual website, or you provide the policies and documentation for web developers to put it on the websites? And do you also offer, question 2 is, do you offer some sort of rights or something for a web developer to then use with their clients, some sort of template or something?
Okay, no, we don't do the techie side. Yes, we do a license for web devs. Yeah. So, any other questions? Anyone have questions around terms and conditions or anything on the website? Jeremy?
Photos.
Yes.
So photos on websites, you can grab, like I might have done maybe occasionally, maybe in the past, I might have grabbed a photo of Google and put it on there, and then of course it says you can see your face, okay, and then check, and so then I bought some photos. Yeah. But then there's free photos from other websites, and then you use other stuff, and there's a lot of that has, down the bottom there, they've little fine print of trademark and stuff. What's your experience with
Okay,
photos
so
on websites?
automation now is so good. There's things like TinEye and reverse image search that you can API with, which means that there are companies around the world that have automated suing people for infringement of copyright on images. So a really cool way to check this is put an image online, wait a couple of days, and then go and search it and see how far it's gone. You'll find that there are multiple instances all over the internet, which is why I've kind of swamped the internet with images over the years. So anyone who searches Jeanette Jifkins will find pictures of me that I have put on there, or that have come from business websites in the past. Because it's automated now, what happens is if an image is found, there's a firm in Berlin and there's a firm in the US in particular that I've come across more than once on each occasion, where they send out these automated letters. They say you've got to pay us $3,900 because you've infringed by using this image. The guy in Berlin, just ignore him, because he keeps threatening to sue in the Supreme Court of Berlin. Who cares? Unless you've got assets over there, there's nothing they can do about it. So that one you can ignore. The one in the US is a bit more consistent. If you've got assets in the US, and a .com can be an asset in the US, the domain name, that you may need to be a bit more careful about. But what they do is they send these automated letters, they ask for money, they stress people out. People either pay the money, but if you come and talk to us, we give different ways of managing that. But you should not use images or words that you have copied and pasted from anywhere else and that you have not got proof of ownership for. So when you purchase images, you've got a license number and you're able to demonstrate that you have a license to use those images. If you take images yourself, you own the copyright. So you are able to demonstrate here's the metadata from the image that demonstrates it's mine.
Facebook and Instagram as well?
So in Facebook and Instagram, the rules because they're owned by the same company, the rules are that anything you post on Facebook or Instagram, you have permission to use, and you give permission for every other user on that platform or those two platforms to use within those platforms. So that's what you promise whenever you upload anything to Facebook. So if you find something on Facebook, you can repost it on Facebook without any qualms. You can't take it off Facebook and put it somewhere else.
Even if you link it back to Facebook, though?
It depends if it's an embedded link, so that it goes to the image on Facebook, then you're okay. It's if you move it off Facebook that you're potentially infringing.
So basically, if you don't use the Facebook platform to do the resharing, then you're infringing.
That's it. Yeah. Yes.
So in a business sale, a website is an asset.
Absolutely an asset.
And quite often the seller forgets to mention that, and they retain the rights.
Okay, so this is why we like working with business brokers, particularly where any business has online assets. So we are very clear in identifying what the online assets are, and we work with a lot of digital businesses and help them actually build IP registers so that they can see the value in their business before they sell it. So things like For a business that has a particular online presence, we look at all of the domain names that they own and that are being transferred with the business, including any domain names that have email addresses attached, because they're not always the same. We look at all of the databases that have been created as a result of either the website or the email addresses. We look at all of the linked social media accounts, whether they're active or inactive. So we're looking at all of that stuff. We also generally write into contracts that there's no warranties around the copyright or anything like that, because a lot of people haven't been rigorous in the way in which they put their websites together. We did actually work with one client who had 2,500 posts on their website. Each one had a photograph, none of which had been verified. They went through, they took down all of the non-high traffic, they just removed all the non-high traffic posts, and they have to be removed from the cPanel as well, because those image search softwares do back-end searches. They don't just do what's public. Yeah. So I could talk on copyright all day, seriously, and trademarks and that kind of thing. This is fun for me. So
Scary.
I love it. And there's ways of doing stuff. It's really cool. Anyway, happy to answer all your questions later, but I think time's wrapped up now, so thank you very much.